Hello, hello. I want to see that I'm actually live. Hello. Oh, there we go. All right, guys. It looks like we are good to go. Hold on a second. Let me put this on mute so I don't hear myself echo. And hello to you viewers out there. Thanks for joining in. I'm sure that we're going to have some people rolling into this live chat as I go. But first off, I just want to say thank you for coming. All right, a few days ago, I started a live chat and basically pushed it out to everyone just to say hello and see how it actually went. And to be honest with you, it went really well. I was really excited about it. I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed it. A lot of different people came in, a lot of questions, a lot of good discussions. So what I decided to do is moving forward, I'm going to basically every single Friday at 12 o'clock Central Time, I'm going to host a live chat for about an hour. Now, these live chats, right now they're going to be questions and answers, just Q&A. But eventually, I think that, well, maybe not eventually, maybe just next week, I think I'm going to be actually choosing topics and then making that the focal point, but also have a little bit of Q&A in there because I know you guys probably have questions. So, yeah, before I begin anything, I see that, and just so you know, I'm looking at my other screen. I've got a second screen right here. I see that there's quite a few of you in here saying hello. So hello, guys. Imtiaz, Mohammed, Nicola, Wasim, and Internet. I don't know how to pronounce that last part. I don't think that's your real name. But yeah, hey, guys. Thanks for joining. And glad you guys are all here. So I want to take a moment before I move any further in this to explain a little bit about who I am. What up, Luis? I want to explain a little bit about who I am and my story so that you understand who's talking to you. If you came here, you came from, LinkedIn or Facebook or Udemy or YouTube or just so many different places because I basically push this announcement out to all channels. So with that being said, I just want to tell you a little bit about me. So I am Ron Stefanski over at onehourprofessor.com is my website. And basically, I've been doing this online business stuff for just about, well, I figured out earlier, it's about 2.5 years now. Currently, I actually just finished up an income report. And by the way, I'll post in the chat what that income report or where those income reports are. I just finished up my income report for this month. And in this last month, in August of 2017, I had revenue of $9,163.09, and I made net income of $6,543.27. So I'm telling you that just because I want you to understand that I really know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. I've been doing this online business thing, like I said, for 2 years. I've got 5-6 different websites at this point that I'm working on, growing my own, online business type of thing. So that's basically a little bit about me. And I think it's something that's important to understand so that you know that I'm not just some like phony guy who talks about this stuff all the time. I'm actually doing it. As you can see, I'm in my workout clothes. I'll probably be in my workout clothes at every one of these live chats. Because I get to work from home, and I don't have to deal with the traffic and I don't have to deal with, really any of the BS, a boss, any of that stuff, which is really awesome. So you're obviously here because you probably want the same thing. And that's great. So I'm here to try to help you in that. And Deficio, what up? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. One thing that I did want to do, because I had the live sign up the other day, and a lot of people were saying, and I'm not going to give you like hard pitches on this. It's a free mini course that kind of gets you started in, actually creating your own online business and starting your own website. I'm not going to pitch hard on this whole thing. I'm going to mention this link 3 times in the beginning, middle, and end. So I'm just going to tell you, if you've already signed up for the mini course, don't waste your time. But if you haven't signed up for the mini course, there is the live sign up to go ahead and click. Just put your email in. You'll have to confirm your email address, and then you'll get access to the free mini course. Do me a favor though. You can click it now and sign up, but don't actually start the live mini course don't actually start the mini course while we're talking, because I want to answer your guys' questions. So with that being said, right now I'm going to focus on answering questions, and there is a little bit of a delay, but guys, I just want to know your questions. Any questions that you have about online business, internet, business at all. I've got a lot of experience. Would love to help you guys. Like I said, in the future, I'll be doing more, focus things on particular topics. But right now, this is going to be the format that I'm going to use. Let me try to close this window. I think you guys might be able to hear that. So if you have a question, feel free to ask, please. And while I'm waiting, one of the things that I'm going to do is get into, until a question pops up, I'm going to talk about something which I call the truths of online business. So if you really want to read my story and dive into everything and see all the truths about online business, you can click here, that last link that I just posted. But before we even get into that, the truth about online business, there's many points that I feel like over the years I've kind of learned, and this is after doing it for 2.5 years and actually being successful, right? And those truths, there's quite a few of them, but the first one that I'm going to talk about, and I see a question or two rolling in here, which is good. So I'll deviate from this in a second. So online business truth number one is that everyone should have what I call a learning phase in creating online businesses. So a learning phase is attending live chats like these, listening to podcasts. And guys, podcasts are so powerful. I'll tell you the two that I've listened to. I'm trying to think if there's any more. Yeah, the two that I've listened to pretty religiously for the last few years has been Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn. I mean, most of you probably know that one. If you're in this online business stuff, you probably know him. So Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn was one of them. Another one that not everyone knows, but I think is actually really good, is called Authority Hacker. They got some really great content, and I am part of their, mastermind group. And I work, I know the individuals who started it. We're all in the same group and everything. And they do some really, really good stuff. They're actually really good marketers, and I have a background in marketing. They're really good digital marketers, but they have a lot of great content, a lot of helpful stuff. So I've been, doing that, or those are the ones that I listen to. And then, reading blog posts, just learning, soaking it all up. And I mean, for me, even me, and I was in corporate America as a marketer for probably 6 years. I probably spent a good 6 months just learning, and soaking everything up that I could. And I was still taking some action on the side and getting things rolling a little bit, but you need to really learn. And for me, I think that when I knew that I had to really just not stop learning, but learn a lot less, was when I'd listen to like a podcast and, whether it be Pat Flynn or these other guys, there would be a question kind of in front of them, like, oh, what would you do if X? And I always would say the answer in my head before they even said it, right? And I was like, I know this stuff. It's time to really dive in. So then I really dove in. But I think the key one, number one, is that you need to have a learning phase with this stuff, but don't get stuck there, right? Some people will do it for 6 months, and then they keep going, 12 months, and then they keep going. And I opened up a Facebook group to my students of this course, and I'm kind of asking them, hey, I'm trying to get more of an open dialogue between all of us, which is a perk. You'll hear about that later at the end of the mini course as a full course. I won't even get into it now. But one of the things that I do is I try to keep in contact with my students to understand what they're doing, what they're going through, and all that. And one of them, well, quite a few of them are saying, oh, I don't have the time and I don't know enough and that sort of thing. And I think that that's where a lot of people get stuck in the learning phase. They just keep learning and regurgitating the same podcasts, the same blog posts. They keep reading, but they don't take the action. So action is the one thing that makes online business real, right? You can't have an online business by learning from podcasts and learning from blog posts and learning from, that's not how this works. You have to eventually take that leap. and jump into it. And I recommend, after you feel pretty comfortable, and the podcast you listen to them and you kind of can say the answer to things before they even say them. At that point in time, and even before that, you should start, creating a website and get involved in actually starting with it. Because as you learn and go along, you're gonna fail a few times, but as you learn, as you go along, you're going to improve and improve and improve. And after enough failures, you really improve to a lot. And, eventually you get to a level to where, not that you can't fail, I talked about it in my last chat. I failed at a website. I just created a news website. But you are pretty well educated in what you're doing and you understand it pretty well. So let me get to the chat. So sorry, guys, I didn't mean to put you off there. Let me get to the chat here. So Imtiaz. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but how to target the proper audience on Facebook. That is a really good question. And if you know the answer, please let me know. No, I won't say that. So here's what I'll say about Facebook and all that. I am not a Facebook marketer. I mean, I use Facebook. Yes, I do Facebook. But one of the things that I don't want to do in these chats is give you advice and say information that I'm not 100% like, oh, you have to do this, because that's not how it works. Now, I'll tell you, I've been advertising on Facebook. I've been working through it and learning it myself because it hasn't been a focus of mine. I understand how to do it, but how to do it versus how to do it really successfully are two different things. So I'll tell you what my thinking is at this point with Facebook ads and everything I've been doing, and then you can kind of make a determination from there. So what I will say with Facebook ads, so proper targeting your audience on Facebook, you can get really, really granular. You can get really, really specific with the people that you target on Facebook. For those who don't know, I mean, Facebook, they collect data themselves, but they've also partnered with, I believe, the 3 biggest data sources out there. And they really, every single person on their platform has a profile. And this profile lists their interests. It at times can list their income. They really pull in a lot of external data for this stuff. So with that, when you're targeting someone on Facebook, I think the biggest thing is you just have to think of, who is your target audience, and segment down to the point to where you're probably targeting, I'd say 3 to 4 different groups of people that you think are going to be the best ones. Because in the beginning, that's all you can kind of do is guess. I mean, and that's the start of it. You just have to guess because there's no baseline of data. The only baseline of data that you have, if you have let's say that you have a large Facebook following already, you can go into the analytics and look at who your followers are. That's probably a good hint. But usually what you want to do is you want to kind of segment it down to 3 to 4 different audiences or groups. And you want to run your ads, the same ad, across all those different groups. And the reason why you're doing that is you're trying to find which one is more efficient, which one is more engaging, which group, when I say which one. So you're trying to find which group or people are more efficient and more engaging. And when you find that individual that is more engaging, at that point, or not that individual, that group, at that point, what you're going to do is then you're going to turn off all the other groups, and then you're going to segment down to that one group, the one that was the most efficient. And then what you're going to do is maybe test ads against that group. So not just the one ad that you had, but 2, 3, 4 different ads against that person. Or against that group. I keep saying person. Against that group. And you do that because you're trying, basically, in the beginning, you're kind of doing like a shotgun approach, right? You're, getting your ad out to all these different people to see which ones seem to like it. And then once you kind of know a little bit about who likes it, at that point, then you need to optimize the ad and make it spend as efficiently as possible. Another big part of Facebook ads is something called social proof. And this is something that a lot of people have talked about that I think is important for sure. And social proof is the idea that, if you see an ad on Facebook and it has no likes, no shares, no comments, and it's just a sponsored ad, you're going to scroll right past it. But if you see an ad that has, 100 shares, 20 comments, and has, a bunch of different likes, 1,000 likes, that's something that you're probably going to scroll to, and then you're going to see that and you're going to stop. And you're going to say, oh, well, this ad, this company, this ad, whatever, is actually really popular. What is this? And you're going to wonder that more. So social proof is a big part of it. So how do you get that social proof? What a lot of people are saying to do is, and again, before I do anything, I basically research, really, really heavily research. And after I research something and I kind of understand it, I feel comfortable with it, then I try to dive in. And what a lot of the experts are saying is that you should build social proof first, and you do that by doing a engagement post in Facebook, an engagement objective. You create the Facebook post, the objective is engagement, and then after you create it and start it, what's going to happen is it's going to bring a lot of people to like the ad, a lot of people to engage with the ad, and if you're in the US, a way to save money is to focus on countries where the cost per click is really cheap. So, one of the things that you can do if you're in the US, you can target India, the Philippines. There's certain areas where people just, I don't know the exact reason they engage quite a bit with ads. So you can actually target those for the social proof. And then what you can do after that is then take that ad that you already had, and you can basically convert it into what they call a conversion ad or a lead generation ad. You can try both. And after you convert it into that new type of ad, what's going to happen is Facebook is going to optimize against conversions versus engagement. So when you first start, you optimize for engagement because you want people to like the post. After you get 50, 100 likes, then you say, okay, I'm going to now optimize it for conversions or lead generation. You can try either or. I've read, some people say conversions are better. Some people say lead generation are better. If your conversion is an email sign up like it is for me, it's really the same thing. So that's what I know about Facebook ads. Now, with that being said, I started this whole thing because prior to even joining these live chats, I was basically trying to cold sell a course, my full course, onto Facebook and just targeting people, and it went very poorly. And I know that there's another person in here who I know personally who's also had some issues with Facebook ads. I think one of the biggest things with it is that you need to make sure that with Facebook ads that the cost for acquisition is really high. So if you're selling a $400 product, it's not too crazy to spend, $40, $50 to get a customer if you have a conversion that's pretty good, right? But if you have a product that's $10, you're probably in a lose-lose situation there because you're just not going to make enough, even if you do sell anything. So you got to have a high enough product. You've got to go for I'm having a brain fart right now. You've got to go for the social proof first and then go to conversion or lead generation. And then, that's what I know about Facebook ads. Like I said, I'm no expert. I'm not going to sit here, here and tell you, oh, you can make X amount of dollars, because I haven't done it myself. And I don't believe in doing that and lying and BSing my way through things. So that's what I've done with it. So hopefully, Imtiaz, that was helpful. Had many engagements, but no sales of my product. I did conversions. Yeah, so Imtiaz, you're going to have to keep testing. With Facebook, that's what everyone says, test, test, test. I'm personally not that big of a fan of Facebook ads because they cost a lot of money, and I haven't had success with them. Not to say it's not possible. I know a lot of people brag about their success with them. That's not me. That hasn't been me so far. So I'm going a different route, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so next questions. No problem, MTS. Next questions here. Please give me some suggestion about online business, for example, how to start and where to start. So Wasim, instead of talking through that here with some people who already, they're not starting right now, what I would say is that the bottom two links, the link at 2:06 or the link at 2:07 p.m., just click on one of those links and then just sign up for the email list, because when you sign up, what's going to happen is you're going to get access to a free course, a free mini course that starts you off in this process. It's 100% free. There's no strings attached or anything like that. So start there, and that'll give you a little bit of an idea of where to begin. But when you're starting an online business, you have to choose. There's a few things that are really important. Obviously, you have to get your website up and your hosting up. A lot of people are super intimidated by that, but guys, you don't have to be. It's actually really, really easy, especially nowadays. That's the first thing. And then you have to basically pick the way that I do things in my authority model. is I pick a niche that I really, I want to focus on. And then I basically from there start keyword research and get moving on it. There's a lot of different people out there who do a lot of different things. The way that I've done things is with Google AdSense. For those who don't know, with Google AdSense, it basically means you have ads that Google runs on your website. And those ads then, when they're on your website, if somebody clicks on them, you'll make money. And one of my websites gets around 1,000 clicks a day, which is quite a bit, but the cost per click is maybe, I don't know, 25, 30 cents. So if you do the math, that adds up quite a bit. It's somewhere between, $200 to $300 a day usually is what I'm making during the week anyway. So yeah, it just depends on what you want to do with everything in the beginning. But like I said, Wasim, starting off, if you're just a total beginner, the free mini course, it's free for a reason. So I go there. Does a social media specialist job in some company is a good step as a beginner? So Mohammed, I'm thinking that you're basically just trying to understand, is a social media specialist job in a company a good step as a beginner? I think so for sure. I was in sales for a little bit about my background. I was in sales for, I think, 7 or 8 years. And I hated it. I hated every day of it. I couldn't stand it. And I was doing it because I didn't know what else to do. Not to say anyone, who's a salesperson out there, like not knocking it, it just wasn't for me. It was not something I enjoyed. So I did it for 7 or 8 years. And then basically I came to the realization that I really didn't want to do it anymore. I was really, really tired of it. So what I did, it's kind of a funny story, but I basically reached out to, I don't even know how many companies I reached out to, probably in the hundreds. And I was just reaching out, asking if they would let me be an internet marketing specialist or an assistant, right? I took a job that I had to commute about an hour and a half to work every day, there and back. So, 2 to 3 hours a day. And I think I was making 30,000 or maybe 32,500, which, for those who are in the US, if you're outside the US, that might be a lot. In the US, that's not much. That's not much money at all. So I was actually, I figured it out at the end of the month. I think I was making like $400 between gas and maintenance on my car, because it took a beating on my car, and everything else I had to pay for there. So it was ugly, but I started off there because, Muhammad, I think that if you're just getting into this, if you want to try to learn it all yourself, it's there. It's all there for the taking. I assure you, podcasts, all the stuff. But if you want to learn on someone else's dime, as they call it, and try to, have a job while you're learning this stuff, I think it's a great idea. I did that myself. I started out in that internet marketing specialist position. I then transitioned into a agency, and I was managing I don't remember how much it was, $750,000 a year for a bunch of Toyota dealerships. And I was managing their Google AdWords programs. And then from there, I went to a startup. And then from there, I went to an education company, and I was the corporate digital marketing manager. And then I was like, screw it. And I took a huge pay cut, and I went out on my own, and the rest is history. Here I am. So it went well. But yeah, I think that it's a good idea, if you're looking into this and you really seem to have a passion for it, to do that. That being said, I don't think it's necessary either. I really, really, really think that if you really listen and take the advice of the experts out there, that you can be successful in this stuff. You really, really can. It's not easy. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of failure. But eventually when you get it, you really get it. And I feel like I'm at that point where I get it. You remember and I tell my wife this, in the Matrix, where they say the blue pill or the red pill and this, that, and the other. I feel like I don't remember which pill it was. I think it was the blue pill. I don't know which pill it was, but whatever pill that opened up their mind and let them know, hey, this is the whole Matrix thing. That's the pill I took. I felt like I unlocked something, and I was like, holy cow, this isn't that hard. It's you see everything differently and you understand it differently. It takes time to get there. It doesn't happen overnight. But I would say I probably hit that stride. I probably hit that stride about 4 months ago. So it took me about 2 years to hit that stride. But before that, I was making some money, obviously, and doing pretty well. And it's just kind of snowballed from there. Now, Luis asks a question. Luis, if you have traffic coming to a niche website, what are the different methods you can take to monetize? So, Luis, that is a good question. There are so many different ways to monetize. There really are. And I mean, it depends. What you're gonna realize when you start a website and you start monetizing your website. And by the way, before you start a website, you figure out how you're going to monetize it. Before you even begin, you don't have to monetize right from the start, but you have to figure out what you're going to do to make money. If you don't do that, it's not going to work. If you think that you're just going to use Google display ads, Google AdSense, and that's going to work, it did work for me in my one instance, but in most cases, it's going to make you some money, but not enough to live on. So you need to figure out to monetize. So talking to those points. So first off is affiliate marketing, which basically means, let's say this camera, right? Let's say I make a website about cameras, and this is a Canon G7X. It's a good camera. And I make a website about cameras. And I basically say, hey, the Canon G7X is a great camera, and you should click here to buy it. And I give a whole review. There's a lot more to it, but I give a whole review and everything. An affiliate is they click on it, and then what happens is it will bring them to a website. Amazon has an affiliate program. So everything on Amazon, you can have people click on, and if they end up purchasing it, you'll make a percentage of that purchase. Basically, it's like a referral, right? So it's usually with Amazon, it's between 4 to 10%, depending on what, well, actually, I might go down to 2% now, but it really depends on what niche you're in. Like the pet niche is 8%. I think electronics are 4%. Amazon has this, thing, and they just did this somewhat recently, which really shook up all the Amazon affiliate sites. So that's an affiliate. Next is display ads, which I'm obviously a huge fan of. But that's basically you put ads on your website, and when people click on them, then at that point you're going to make money. And I think a big thing with when you're doing ads, a big thing to understand is that it becomes pretty hands off. You don't have to sell anything, which I love. And it's really just like informational, right? Like informational content that you create, and then people click on the ads. Do they click on the ads on purpose or on accident? I don't really know. But what I do know is that it pays pretty darn well if you can get a lot of traffic. So Jobs for Felons Hub, my website, it has around 150,000 unique visitors a month. And that made me, I think it was last month, I'm actually looking here on my numbers. It made last month $6,831. It was a lot of clicks. That's why that did that. So display ads is another one. Like I said, not every niche, the Jobs for Felons is in the job niche. People are always looking for jobs. And the way that you get paid with that is it depends on the competitors. So what I mean by that is if there are 10 people bidding to get job related ads out there, then the 10 people bidding to get those job related ads are going to drive up the cost per click. So it may cost an advertiser, right? Not me, an advertiser. It may cost them $3 for a click about jobs, right? Like if they just have jobs as a generic thing, it costs them $3. Of that $3, I only get 30 cents, which is really small, quite frankly. But like I said, in aggregate, that adds up. So display ads is another one. Obviously, you can do like a membership site, which, I've seen that be really successful as well, a membership site. That's pretty nice because if you charge someone maybe 10, 20 bucks a month, which isn't a crazy amount of money, and you get 100 people, do the math. That ends up adding up pretty quick. So that's a good way to do it. The issue that you're going to have there is you have to have retention. So you have to actually keep people coming in. And one of the things that I'll say with membership sites that you can do, you can bring it all into your own ecosystem and your own website and have a forum and all this different stuff. Or what a lot of people are doing now is they're actually creating Facebook groups. I create Facebook groups. They're free. Like I said, the 1 Hour Professor full course has it, but a lot of people are now creating Facebook groups and they're actually charging people. Well, not charging them, but they're saying, okay, if you're a member, if you're signed on with us, then you get to stay in that Facebook group. And Facebook groups are actually really important, you guys. It isn't just the content that you create and then they get it. It's actually having that community. And communities are a huge selling point, and almost everyone's on Facebook nowadays. So it's a really, really big part of keeping your users engaged, keeping them sign up in a membership site. What are the ways are there to make money? I mean, you can sell leads to businesses. That's another interesting one. I'm actually with Jobs for Felons. I can give an example. We basically have partnered. I always say we because I pretend like it's bigger than it is. I've partnered with other organization that will purchase leads for expungement, which are basically if you have a felony on your record in the U.S., you need to get it off of your record to get jobs. Then you basically can contact an expungement lawyer and they'll help get it off your record. So what I've done is I've partnered with an agency or a company and I basically sell them $20 for every lead that comes in. Every month, somewhere between 20 to 25 leads have been coming in. So it's about, $400 to $500 every month I've been making from that. So that's another way of making money. Obviously you can sell your own products. I'm not going to get into a long in-depth explanation about that. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. You can do software as a service and sell that sort of thing. You can also just do straight up donations and ask your followers for donations, but you have to have a pretty loyal following for that. And then another one, which is interesting, is the pay what you want model. And the pay what you want model is actually really cool because again, it needs like a loyal following. But let's say that you come out with a course and then you just say, hey guys, here's a link to the course, pay what you think is fair. Most people are paying $20, but pay what you think is fair. You'd be surprised. I've heard case studies of companies that have done that and actually have made quite a bit of money doing it. So those are some of the ways of making money. I mean, I feel like, honestly, those are the main ways of making it, but there are so many different ways to make money with websites if you're creative. It just takes time to look at every business. Every business is going to be different, Louise. So it's hard to say for everyone, but I think that's a good general understanding of some of the ways to monetize. Feel free to comment if you have any questions about it. So my question about copyright issues is in Google AdSense. If I create a poetry blog in WordPress, so poetry is all on the same blogs, can Google allow it or not for AdSense? So Mateen, I think what you're trying to ask is copyright issues related to Google AdSense. If I create a poetry blog in WordPress, so poetry is same on all blogs. So Mateen, that's really difficult because you technically, if the question is, can I create a poetry website and then copy and paste poems from all over the internet onto that website? Technically you can, but you're gonna have a really hard time because all the other websites out there have already posted that original content. They've already posted that original poem. So if you're just copying and pasting their poems onto your own, first off, that's not going to be looked highly upon for a lot of people. I'll tell you, if someone just copied and pasted poems that I wrote, I'd be pretty pissed off. So just to be frank. So I don't know that would really work well. You could technically do it and you could probably get some traffic to it. But I think that you'd have a difficulty with that. Now, if you just had a like roundup post of my 5 favorite poems or something like that, my 5 favorite poems about X or whatever, you could do that sort of thing. Google AdSense, to my knowledge, they don't really care about that so much. They're just putting ads on the page. Google AdSense, when they really start caring is when you have gambling or adult related content, or I think like pharmaceutical content, that sort of thing. That's when they really care, and they'll actually ban you if you put them on your website. Also, if you sign up for Google AdSense and click, then they're going to see fraudulent clicks. You can get in trouble for that. There's a few different ways, but yeah, honestly, the copywriting thing, I haven't heard of that being a big issue. What I would say is that if you plan on doing that sort of thing and you want to source poems from a bunch of different blogs out there, what you should do is you should have a DMCA notice, which is the Digital Management Copyright Act. And you basically want to put a DMCA notice on your footer of your website and make it so that people can easily, very easily say, they can contact you, say, hey, you know what? This content that you have on your website, it's my content and I want it off your website. And then you can just really quickly, you don't argue with them, you just remove it if it happens. You should do that. But at the end of the day, I'll tell you, most people won't even contact you. Most people won't even know it's there. But in the case anyone does, you want to have it up there to cover yourself legally so you don't get any trouble. And also just to make sure that you're like, okay, fine. I'm going to take it down. All right. And before I move forward, because last time people were asking, I'm going to say it one more time here in case you didn't see it before. The free mini course, there is a link. Again, I'm not trying to be too self-promotional, guys. That's a free mini course. I just want to make sure that people that are in here at different times see the link to the free mini course and can click. If you click there, you just sign up really easy, and then you can go from there. Next question. And as I'm answering this one, you guys, if you have any other questions, please ask. Otherwise, I'm going to go into the truths about online business, which is actually good content too. But if you have a question and you want it answered, I'd love to answer it. So make sure you ask. So internet, I can't pronounce the rest of your name. What tool do you recommend for ads? So it's kind of a loaded question, but what I think that you're asking, well, there's really three different things that I recommend for ads. Number one is to have an ad network. And for me, that is Google Adsense is my primary ad network. And that basically is going to be the network of the server of all your ads. It's going to, you put content into your website. You just copy and paste a piece of code into your website. And then what happens is they'll serve ads for you in that space. And I'm actually going to do a quick screen share because I want to do a screen share and I'm not sure how it's going to go here. Okay, we're going to go to this screen. So that's me talking. Okay. I'm actually going to show you live the ads that I have on Jobs for Felons Hub and how it actually works. And we'll kind of go from there. So with Jobs for Felons Hub, I actually have quite a bit of ads that you can all see. And hold on one second. I just want to make sure, where is it? You guys can see my screen, right? Can you guys verify that you can see my screen? Once you guys verify that you can see my screen, I'll continue. I just need to make sure. Okay, cool. So with Jobs for Felons Hub, like I said, there's three different things with ads. You have to have, well, there's really two different things. You have to have an ad network, and then you have to have something to place those ads on your website. So the ad networks that I use is Google AdSense primarily, because Google AdSense usually pays the most per click. So that's number one. And then my second ad partner that I use or publisher would be media.net. So that is, let me put the link right here. Hold on one second. You know what? Hold on. I want to make sure I put the full link for you guys. So Google AdSense would be number one. Media.net, this one, would be number two. Media.net is good. It's not as good as Google AdSense, but it's good. I will say when you're doing the ads, you probably want to hold off on putting ads onto your website until you're at about 10,000 people a month. And if that sounds like a crazy number to you, it's really not. 10,000 people a month. I mean, it's not that it's easy to get there. It takes time to get there for sure. But that's a decent amount of people to where you're like, okay, well, I could probably start making a little bit of money with ads. You're not going to quit your day job, but you'll make some money with ads. So I use, like I said, Google AdSense and media.net with my ads to actually show you how they work. So there is a tool called Ad Inserter, and I'm going to put the link here. It is the tool is a WordPress plugin, and like I said, it's called Ad Inserter. And again, this is going to give you a Brazilian link because I'm in Brazil, so it just automatically defaults to that. But Ad Inserter is really good because basically what it lets you do is it lets you, across all of your blog posts, which is usually a ton of your content, by the way, across all of your blog posts, it lets you put an ad wherever you'd like to put it within the content, right? So as you can see here, I have an ad right here. So that's one ad. I have an ad right here. That's two ads. I have an ad right here. That's three ads. And then I have an ad right here. That's four ads. And then I have an ad right here. That's five ads. I think that's the most I'll put into into a post. So I have 5 ads in every post. Those are Google AdSense ads. It may seem like a lot, and quite frankly, it is a lot, but it just flat out works. So that's why I have it. But basically, I was able to do that with Ad Inserter because I could tell them, hey, I want these ads to be inserted after these paragraphs here. Let me actually show you Ad Inserter and explain a little bit about it. I'm not going to go into like a full tutorial here about Ad Inserter, but it's really helpful because if you try to do that manually, you guys, it's a freaking nightmare because you have to then, if you want to change your ads or whatever, you have to go back and you have to change them across every post. With this plugin, you actually don't have to do that at all. So let me, oh, that's the wrong button. Hold on 1 second. So there's Ad Inserter. And what you can do, so you'll see here, is it tells you like this one, after 3 paragraphs, I have an ad, and that's my ad code. And then it just tells me, what do you do after paragraph, in all the posts, after paragraph number 3, I want to have an ad. You paste your ad code up here, and then you submit. And then you can say after paragraph 7, I want to have an ad. You paste, save all settings. The thing you have to be really careful about here is you don't want to overdo it with the ads. I have 5 ads on my pages. Google used to cap you off at 3 ad units like that. But with the success of mobile devices, they basically realized like it's kind of dumb because a lot more people click on ads on mobile, just flat out. It's actually a great thing for us who are creating websites because they accidentally click on it. They fat finger it. I've done it a million times. And you should definitely want to do that and put ads on your website, but you also don't want to cannibalize your entire website and put way too many ads to where it makes it a terrible experience. I feel like I'm on a thin line at this point. I probably don't want to add too many more ads. But like I said, I do have 5 ads in every blog post, and that's how I do it. If you're starting out, usually I say, hey, do an ad at the top of your post, right in the beginning, like right here. Do an ad all the way on the bottom of your post, like well, for me, this is powered by Google sponsored ads. Like you won't have access to this until you get a lot of traffic, but put an ad on the bottom of the post, like right here, and then put an ad in the middle of the post, just those 3 spots. And then just pay attention to what seems to do well, right? So as I'm saying that, you're probably saying, okay, well, that's great. You have all those ads, whatever. But I also see all these ads on these right side. So these right side ads are media.net ads. And basically they work like this. First off, if somebody is looking at these, like if they click once, if in Google AdSense, if I were to click this right now, I would make 25 cents, right? And don't think about doing that clicking on it like crazy type thing. Like I said, that can actually get you banned. That doesn't work. Google's not stupid. They'll just ban you from it. But with this one right here, the sponsored ads with media.net, they're very contextual, which is great. This says employment for felons. Well, that's pretty darn good because, this is a job for felons website. So what happens with media.net is you come into here, you click, and what it's going to do is it's going to open up a second page. And I have to click on one of these. And at that point, when I click on one of these, that's when the money actually comes in, right? Now, these are totally irrelevant for me. They are probably different for you. Like I said, it's because I'm in Brazil. So I'm not going to make that second click because it's a bad idea for me to do that because, like I said, I could get in trouble. I don't ever want to get in trouble with Google AdSense. But those would be what I think are the top 3 tools. Well, top 2 tools are those for sure. So hopefully that answers your question. You found that one helpful. But yeah, Ad Inserter is really big for that. Let me see here. To use for ads. Okay. Any free course for niche website or blogging, please. So Mateen, yeah, the free mini course that I've linked to throughout is definitely going to be what you want to look at because it gets you in the right mindset. It clears up some misconceptions that you're going to have. It helps you understand how to choose your topic. And then it kind of gets you going, into the process of, okay, I've got my, and it also talks about how to monetize your website. And you kind of get an idea, and then you basically go from there and keep going. So anyone else, if you have any questions, the internet, whatever your last part of your name is there. Ask questions. Anyone else, if you have questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about some of the online business truths because I feel like they're really important, and it's something that I can kind of use as a backup if you guys don't have enough questions for me. That's why I said every Friday at this time, I'm going, 12 o'clock Central, I'm going to be doing these chats. So, if you're watching for the first time or you've seen me before, you haven't, whatever, put it in your calendar. Remind yourself that it's going to be here. I'm going to be changing the topics every week. Like I said, this week, because it's my second time actually, I'm just doing a Q&A again. But eventually I'm going to be saying, okay, this week we're going to focus on X. This week we'll focus on Y. And I'll tell you what those things are so that you can attend if you'd like. I think one of the things that I'll be doing soon, because it's based on feedback from what I've seen you guys saying, is how to make the time to create an online business and create a website when you're working full time and you're already stressed for time, right? You have a family, you have kids, you have all these errands you got to run, you got to try to stay healthy, or maybe just watch Game of Thrones, whatever it is. Everyone has different priorities, different things that they're doing. So I think I might be focusing on that soon. So that's kind of like an idea of things to come. Also talking about how to get more traffic. That's something that I think might be coming. But I'm just going to take it, as I get feedback from you guys about topics that you'd like to hear, I'm going to listen, and then I'm going to go from there. So with that being said, let me see if there's any more chat questions. There is. Okay. Okay, so Hussein, I have a site which I have created based on your niche site course. Okay, that's good. My struggle is backlinks and generating traffic. So Hussein, so for backlinks, I think let me backtrack a little bit and explain this to some people. So when you have a website, one of the things that you're going to realize is that you're going to have to create good content. So Hussein, I don't know, and I wouldn't share your website here because there's a ton of people here. People might try to copy you. But if you have a website, the first thing is you have to have good content. If you don't have good content, if the content that you write about whatever it is really bad, it's just not good. And I'm not saying that's you, Hussein. I'm just saying for anybody. If you don't have good content in the beginning, forget it. All the other steps don't matter. You have to have good content. You have to have good content because you have to make sure that you are above and beyond your competitors. And Google likes what you're doing. A good way to have good content, in my opinion, is to hire a writer. I could write day to day to day and just write content till I'm blue in the face. I could do that. But at the end of the day, I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that because it takes a ton of time. If you don't have the finances and you have to do it yourself, that's fine. If you can, I would highly recommend that you get a writer from Upwork.com, which I'll share the link. Hold on one second. You get a writer from Upwork.com. When you have that writer on your staff, you basically just, you give them a template and you say, hey, write from this template. Here's what you want to do. You give them some blog topics, and I highly recommend that you give them the blog topics. Some people will hire a writer and have them choose the blog topics. I think that's insane because writers are writers. They're not always the best at finding the topics. They may not know SEO at all. So yeah, I highly recommend that you do it yourself. But yeah, you have to choose the keywords, and then you basically write it. So if you have the good content, Hussein, and usually you'd want to have like 10 to 15 pages of decent content before you do any backlinking at all. But if you have the good content, then you start backlinking. For those who don't know, backlinking, it is basically really simply, I have a website and I want you with your website to link to me. If you link to me, that's a backlink. Okay. That's in the eyes of Google, that's a vote of someone saying, hey, you know what? This is a good website and I like it and I'm linking to it because it's good content. That's what a backlink is. That said, backlinks are weighted differently. Okay, backlink from a website that was just created tomorrow or just got created tomorrow and has no authority, nothing. If you get a backlink from there, it's a lot less valuable than if someone like the New York Times linked to you or Google linked to you. So one link from the New York Times, for example, would be worth more than 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 links from crappy websites that were just created. So, the old ways of like what they call black hat of like spamming to get a bunch of links and all that, it doesn't work. Don't do it. Just don't waste your time with it. It doesn't work. I'm a huge proponent of white hat link building and all that. So Hussein, when you say that your struggle is backlinks and generating traffic, what I found is that I spend a lot of time creating content. Right now I have a new website going up. I think I have 30 articles up. I'm probably going to go to about 50. I'm getting no traffic whatsoever, Hussein, none, zero. I'm paying writers. I'm spending money. I don't even know how much I'm spending a month, maybe 500, 600 bucks a month creating content. I'm not nervous though, because what I know is this, Hussein, is that after you create a good amount of content, 20, 25 articles, maybe 15 if they're really good and long form, and you've done the right keyword targeting, at that point in time, then you're going to want to reach out and really focus on backlinking. What I've found is that, I have my writers still writing. I'm doing a little bit, so I put out content every week. But I'm really focused on backlinking. And to do backlinking, you've got to be really creative. My number one hint with backlinking, and Hussein, I could have a whole, session about this in the future. I probably will. But my number one advice for backlinking is that you need to give them something. Okay. You can't just say, hey, here's my content. If you like it, please backlink. I get those emails every day and I just laugh and say no. Some people say do a guest blog post. I actually don't really like guest blog posts because that means that I'm writing content for someone else's audience and posting it to them. Yes, I can get a backlink from that. Sorry guys, my dog is barking below me. Petunia. Petunia. 1 second, guys. There we go. I just woke her up. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard that. Yeah, so backlinking, like I was saying, you could do guest posting. And that's basically where you post to their audience and then you include a link back to your own website in the guest post. A lot of people understand if you're going to guest post for them, they'll let you do that. They don't mind. I don't like that because I write content for someone else. What I've found helps a lot. I'm still doing badges, which is actually just, I talk about a website on my website and then I go to them and I say, hey, I talked about you here. I just want to let you know that, like I said, we talked about you here. Here's how it happened. I love what you're doing. If you're interested in putting the as featured in badge on your website, feel free. Most people are linking back to us when they do that. Another thing that I'll do, which is really, really, really big, Hussein, and honestly, not a lot of people talk about it or do it, is I focus on databases. So Jobs for Felons Hub, the way that I really started to get a lot of backlinks is I had someone research and find all the different reentry programs for felons. So it's basically programs that felons can go to in each state, right? They'll go to those locations. And I basically found all their websites. I got all their websites, all their contact information. I uploaded them to the site. And then what I did is I reached out to them and I said, hey, I just want to let you know, I've included a link to your organization on your website. Love what you're doing. And a show of support, if you'd be willing to link to my website as well, and I explained a little bit about what I'm doing, I'd really appreciate it. I got a lot of people who linked back to my website. They never knew who I was. They linked back. They said, oh, this is a great site. That, what happens is after you start getting backlinks, that's going to propel your traffic. It's going to go up and up and up and up because even your old traffic or even your old content rather, it goes up and up and up because Google looks at it and that content that never even got a chance to rank before starts moving up in the search engine rankings because Google looks at you as more of an authority because you have more links, right? So it starts to see that and it says, wow, this website has 10 links, 20 links, 30 links. We're going to start to give them a shot to have organic traffic and they'll move you up in the rankings. That's what you call domain authority. You can also do it if you have a specific page. You can try to get links to that specific page, like a blog post. It's a little bit more difficult to do that, but you can do that as well. But yeah, that's how it really works. So writing the content isn't, if you write it, they will not come. I'll tell you that right now. That's not going to happen. You need to write, get the content on the site, get it to a pretty good place, and then start to build the links. And then when you start building links and you actually start building links, then you're going to see your traffic start incrementally increasing. And as long as the time on the site is good and the click-through rate from the Google search engine is good, it will continue to rise. It takes time, it takes a lot of work, but it does work. I assure you that happens. I'm in the process right now, and I feel you, Hussein. I am dealing with a website that, like I said, I'm investing a lot of money. It's all in content, and I have literally zero traffic, which I'm like, come on, give me a little bit of love. And one thing I will say too is if you have a new site, many people say that there's this Google Sandbox, which is basically the first 6 months of your site being live, it doesn't get any love from a search engine optimization perspective, like no love whatsoever. A lot of people say that. I found that to be kind of true, to be honest with you. I've noticed that after 6 months, it usually lifts up a little bit. But again, I promise you it won't happen if you don't have backlinks. You got to have backlinks. And even if you don't love doing it, most people don't, you got to get creative with it and start thinking about what is it that I can give this person and how can I entice them to link back to me? So Hussein, that would be my advice. If you've been writing and you've got 20, 25 pieces of content that are good pieces of content and you're still not getting any traffic, start doing backlinking. But don't do black hat backlinking. Don't do the bad stuff. You can't build all the links yourself. You have to get real links from real people. And that's not easy to do, but if you can figure that out, you'll do really well with it. Next, any best topics for blogging? I think that's a difficult question to answer. With any topic that I'm going to blog on, or blog or create a website about, there's two things I really look for. Number one, it's do I have even a vague interest in it? It doesn't have to be something that I love, but it has to be something that I'm vaguely interested in. I say that because if I was blogging about a topic that I hated, like if I was blogging about, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like being a garbage man or something, right? I have no interest in that whatsoever. Nothing against garbage man. It's just not something I'm interested in. So if I was blogging about that type of job and that type of life and what you deal with on a day-to-day basis, number one, I don't have any experience in it, so it'd probably be pretty bad. But number two, I don't have any interest in it. So it's going to be tough if you don't have any interest. So number one thing I'd say is try to have at least a vague interest in it. If you're first starting off, try to really be passionate about it with your first website. But after you get the first one down and you've done pretty well with it, then you can get into, hey, I don't need to just do things I love anymore. I can focus a little bit more on, good niches because I love making money, right? And at this point, that's where I'm at, is I'm like, hey, this is a good niche, and I have a vague interest in it. And I usually hire my writers to write it all, so I don't have to sit there and write it all the time. No problems, Hussein. How to network for creating backlinks. Yes. Hussein, I think I will probably start to talk about some backlink. I've got some interesting backlinking strategies that I don't hear about often that I think a lot of people would benefit from. So, but yeah, so best topics for blogging. Number one, I think, is you have to have an interest in it. Number two, if you want a reasonably decent sized website, I think you have to get around like 50 to 100,000. Well, I shouldn't say that. Because Jobs for Felons originally, I think that was searched like 18,000 times a month. I would say if you're gonna do a main topic of your blog or your website, you should probably make it to where that particular main keyword has like 15,000 to 20,000 keywords plus, or 15,000 to 20,000 searches plus a month in using the Google Keyword Tool or Longtail Pro, which is what I recommend and use. The reason why you want to do that is when you want to make sure that the main page, if you can rank for that main page, you'll get 10, 15, 20,000 people a month. That's a pretty good number to have. Ideally, you get it higher, but usually the higher amount of searches and volume that there is, the more competitive it gets. So it makes it really difficult. So, guys, I'm going to drink, and I'm also going to breathe. I'll have one more question if you guys have one. If not, I'm going to cut it short. So I'm going to sip on this for a second. If we have one more question, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're going to call this one, and then I will be here again next Friday. And one thing I want to say, as we're doing that, my little commercial in the middle of everything, which is for a free item, so it's not like I'm making money off of it. So like I was saying, if you haven't signed up for it yet, make sure that you take my free mini course. There is the link again. I'm doing it 3 times per chat, guys. Take that free mini course because it will help you get this stuff started, at least. And I don't even feel comfortable talking about it because it's like kind of awkward to be like, oh, take this course and yada, yada, yada. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I guess I'm going to close with. No one else is asking any questions, which is fine. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I'm hopeful that that was the case. Next week, I'll be pinging you guys through email, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, everywhere to let you know the next session. It will be next Friday. Again, it's going to be, oh, we had one jump in at the last second. MNJ Entertainment, damn you. Okay, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm going to answer that one last question, and then I'm going to call it, and then we'll close this up. So the last question, I have created one new site. It has 24 articles right now, but the site doesn't receive any traffic. My question is, now what do I do? MNJ Entertainment, I'm hoping that you were just here when I talked about the backlinking, my backlinking stuff. My first question to you, MNJ Entertainment, whatever your real name is it good content? You can't have crap. You got to have good content. If it is good content, you feel like it's pretty well written, and it's not like super short, right? Like at least 750, 1,000 words is usually what I do, at least when I'm answering a question. It gets more than that at times. So if the content is good, then you have to focus on backlinking at this point. I mean, 24 articles is a good amount. Backlinking is so crucial, you guys. I can't possibly tell you how important it was. A lot of people say it, and they're like, oh, whatever, and they're like, well, what about social media and social media signals? That's all BS. I almost swore. That's all BS. I found that social media means absolutely nothing. I mean, it gets traffic to your website because it's on social media, which is great, but it's not going to help you rank. Yeah, so MNJ Entertainment, okay, I just got your thing. Absolutely good content with 1,800 words each. You need to backlink. You need to get backlinks, and you can't do it yourself. You can't just, reach out to people and say, hey, I wrote good content, please link to me. You need to give them a reason to link to you. What I would say is MNJ Entertainment, if you want to, because I know you probably don't want to talk about your niche too much here. I totally understand that. If you want to write me a quick email after this, ron@onehourprofessor.com, feel free, and give me a little bit more detail. But basically, if you have the good content and it's written, like I said, I have a new website, and I'm around where you are. I have around 25, 30 articles, not literally no traffic whatsoever. So I know that I need to build backlinks. And you're asking, and this is a good question, what kind of backlinks? Contextual backlinks. Let's say, okay, based on your name, MNJ Entertainment, let's say, so this is exactly where I feel like people get too hung up on terms and those sort of things. Guest posting works, but you're going to write content for other people and give it to them, and that takes a lot of time. Guest posting does work, right? But you can do that. I'm a big fan of getting, directory type of stuff. So let's say that you have MNJ Entertainment. Let's say that and I'm going to totally guess here. I'm going to give an example, but totally guess. Let's say that MNJ Entertainment is a promotional company. Okay. Don't know if you are, but it's like a promotional company for bars. Again, it's an example. You're probably not that, but I'm just going to say it. You're a promotional company for bars in Chicago, right? Promotional company for bars in Chicago. What you would want to do is you'd want to create a database, what I call a database, of all the different bars in Chicago. And you would put them onto your website. And then what you would do is you would have all those bars there. You'd have information about all the bars, the open, close times, what other people are saying about the bar. Maybe you aggregate those from another place. You build that type of database, and then when it's done, you reach out to all the bars in Chicago and say, hey, you were featured here. Here's my badge on our website if you want to say that you were featured here. Or you take it a step further and you say, hey, you were featured on my website. If you'd like me to move you to the top of the page, then all you have to do is become MNJ Entertainment certified. And that's a free process, but all that you tell them is basically you need to link to my website in a show of support. And then if you do that, then I'll move you up to the top of the page. I've actually done something like this. It worked incredibly well. I don't talk about it very often, but it worked really, really well. So MNJ Entertainment, that's a really good way of doing things, is thinking of a way you want to do contextual. So whatever your website's about, if it's about bars in Chicago, you try to get links from bars in Chicago. If it's about breeders of a certain dog breed or something like that, you try to get links from the breeders of that dog breed. Context is very important to Google. If you have 100 links from stuff that doesn't make any sense, Google doesn't care. They're like, well, these are all BS links. I mean, it's not like it's going to hurt you that much, but you need to understand, like, it isn't just, I'm going to get 10 backlinks and it's going to work. because Google looks at what the context is of those backlinks, and then how powerful those domains are, right? They look at those two things really the most. So you want to make sure that you get them from places where it actually makes sense that you would get those links and build the links that way. The key with it, like I said, is think about what it is that you can do to give whoever it is that would appreciate your information, give them something. And then from there, you will start to get traffic. It'll take time, but you'll start to get traffic. And one thing I want to say, MNJ Entertainment, if all your articles are 1,800 words each or more, it's not a bad thing, but I will say that I feel like there's a lot of people right now saying longer is better and you got to write super long and that's the only way to get traffic. I personally think that that's BS. I usually stay with my posts, which are question posts, right? And that's like, can you fill in the blank? Or can a dog fill in the blank? You know, I think looking at our dog, thinking of that. Can a dog eat blank, right? Can a dog run with blank? Like, those are question posts. I like doing that for traffic because they're really specific. That works for me pretty well. But again, those are 750 to 1,000 words. So don't think that you have to do 18,000 or 1,800 words plus every time. But if you have really, really good content, M&J, you should definitely start doing backlinking, and you really need to really think about backlinking and the strategies behind it and really dive into that and then execute. And that's not the easy part, but if you can execute, you will get backlinks, you will get traffic. I assure you that. Yeah, so that's what I had to say about that. But yeah, get one more thing, guest posts. If you want to do it, feel free. I'm not a huge fan, but you can do it. Guest posts are out there. I mean, there's just multiple different ways that you can get links from people. Don't pay for them, but just think of ways that you can give something to someone and they tend to link to you. And there's a lot of, just go on the internet and search link building strategies. There's hundreds of them out there. And then just decide what's best for you. So there's a lot of them out there. Okay, last question only, and it really is going to be the last question because I got to go. I'm going to go work out. Always in my gym clothes. Hussein asks, sorry for the late question. Is it possible to outsource backlink creations as well? Don't outsource your backlink creations, because from what I've found, and not all the time, but from what I've found, a lot of the companies that offer the backlinks are going to give you the spammy, crappy backlinks, and you're going to get them. And you might get a temporary boost in Google, but Google's going to figure out what has happened. And you're actually, those links they won't penalize you now because people are sending stuff, but they will basically just negate them and say, these aren't real backlinks. These don't matter. And then you're going to fall in the rankings. So it's not a way to build a business. You know, that said, when I was creating backlinks, I actually had someone doing all the research to find all of the contacts that I needed. And then I was emailing them, and I was going back and forth in email to talk to them. So I partially outsourced the backlink creation. It took some time, you got to create a process and all that sort of thing. But if you could do it, I mean, that's one way, Hussein, of doing it, is that you think of, I need to research this area. They research it. They put it all into a Google spreadsheet. Then you take it, you put it into email, you post it, and then, you follow up on emails and that sort of thing. So that's what I did, and it worked. So yeah, Hussein, partially possible. MNJ, I'm an expert in guest post backlinks. Yeah, if you want to do that, I mean, that's fine. Some people are really successful with it. Like I said, I personally don't like it because I spend all my time writing a piece of content and then I just give it away. I'm not a fan of that. But if you think that that's the only way to backlink or your best way, then focus on it. But what I will say is you definitely need to look out and do more research on affiliate linking strategy or backlinking strategies, because there's so many out there. And honestly, I think that's one that takes a lot of effort. Like, I would guest post if I'm going onto a website like Huffington Post, right? It makes sense then because it's really good. But if there's some small rinky-dink website that has a domain authority of like 15 or 20, and it's just a blog that they just started, I probably wouldn't even guest post. I mean, because it's like, that's a lot of work. I would want to find an easier way to get a backlink. So hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, guys, all right, I'm out of here. My throat is sore. I hope you guys got a little bit from this. Next week, I will be doing another one of these live sessions. So thank you to all who watched all the way through. You're awesome. And I don't know what it's going to be next week that we'll focus on, but you guys are giving me some great information here. So appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for following along, and thanks for listening to me drone on and on about who God knows what for the last hour. But I like to get this stuff from here out to you guys. So hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, go ahead and email me, ron@onehourprofessor.com. I could potentially make them into a something here. We could do that. And also, like I said, just one more plug because we went a little bit over time. Right here is a live sign up for the free mini course. I got to say it because I got to do a little promotion. But like I said, it's free. So join that if you want. Otherwise, guys, thanks for coming and have a good weekend. And I will talk to you next week.